What's going on, everyone? So, free agency has officially begun, and thus far, nothing on the Lakers front. Still very early. Even the Ayton thing probably doesn't come for a couple of days because he doesn't clear waivers until Wednesday, while Lakers try to find other things. Hopefully, they get somebody today. It'd be nice to at least get a guy today, and then kind of, continue through the days as we wait around for somebody new. But Lakers officially lose Dorian Finney Smith, and it wasn't a sign and trade. The Houston Rockets are signing him outright. So per Shams, free agent forward Dorian Finney Smith has agreed to a 4-year, $53 million deal with the Houston Rockets. Sources tell ESPN. Dorian Finney Smith agent Michael Tellum of Excel Sports negotiated terms of the deal tonight with the Rockets executives for the 3-and-D wing. So a couple things, right? One, this hurts, right? Because the Lakers weren't able to get a sign and trade done, right? Which would have made sense for Houston because they could have done a sign and trade. I mean, there were even Houston insiders that were like, a sign and trade is probably best for the Houston Rockets. Now, unless, something ends up developing and they did ultimately do a sign and trade, because none of these can be finalized until July 6th. So, if Houston is able to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker, then maybe they'll go, okay, fine, let's do the sign and trade thing. But however the route goes, right now, it looks like Dorian Finney-Smith is signing for the 4-year deal. So Lakers don't get any assets in return, even a Cam Whitmore. Two, they also lose their best 3-and-D wing, right? I know he's a veteran, right? There are questions about signing him to a long-term deal. But, Lakers going in and trading for him would have known that. Now, it's not all just like doom and gloom. It's not all like, oh no, what, Lakers are cooked. That's it. No, like this frees up the full mid-level exception as well as gives the Lakers the potential on the biannual exception. Lakers just have to hit on guys, right? Like I talked about this in the previous video, providing an update on Dorian Finney-Smith when the reports came out that like, hey, we might lose him. And I talked about how if they lose him for nothing, if he just goes and walks and signs with Houston, which is a real possibility, that it depends on what ends up being the end result, right? Lakers now have more cap flexibility. Lakers now have more ways of acquiring multiple guys. De'Anthony Melton is somebody that is now linked to the Los Angeles Lakers as an acquisition. So if the Lakers were to get De'Andre Ayton, De'Anthony Melton, and, Clint Capella this offseason, then yes, that's fine. That was a success. You got your starting center for the long term. You got a replacement in Dorian Finney-Smith and a guy that could slot in 1 through 3, defend 1 through 3, shoots the 3 ball well, right? And a De'Anthony Melton. And then you got your clear-cut backup in like a Clint Capella or a Luke Cornett or whomever, right? It just depends on what the Lakers end up doing from here on. If they end up kind of falling on their face and it's Brook Lopez and they miss out on Melton and then they sign, Kevin Porter Jr. and stuff. And it's like, well, you just gave away Dorian Finney-Smith or you lost Dorian Finney-Smith. You gave up 3 second-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith. It's like, what are we doing here, right? Now, again, it just depends on what the Lakers do. So it's not panic mode yet, but it's unfortunate, right? Again, I know some Laker fans are like, it's fine, who cares? Like, Lakers shouldn't pay him because you would have been paying him until he was like 36, 37 years old, right? Is that what's best for a team like the Lakers who are trying to build around Luka? But you also lose one of Luka's best friends. You lose one of the guys that had built-in chemistry with Luka, right? Like, there are some cons to this. And also, you now need to replace Dorian Finney-Smith because say what you want about Dorian Finney-Smith, he was very good for the Lakers last year. I know some people look at it, if this guy didn't average 15, then he was trash. No, he was incredibly impactful for the Lakers. He's a guy that did everything for the Lakers. Defended 1 through 5, did the dirty work, made the hustle plays, right? Now, look, Lakers have been making moves to get more athletic out on the perimeter, more athletic out in the wing, which is something I've been screaming for years, right? I guess better late than never, but it's something that the Lakers should have done years ago to where you might have already developed some of these guys, right? But here's the thing. They're all young, inexperienced. Like, the beauty of Dorian Finney-Smith is he was an experienced player. He was somebody that had the experience, had the growth, had the capability of, being a key piece in a playoff run, in a finals. He's not going to fold under pressure. He's gone on deep playoff runs. You need those guys. So I'd really look, if I'm the Lakers, to try to find an experienced wing, right? Whether that's an Andrew Wiggins or somebody, right? If you can get somebody like that, kind of changes the outcome and results here. But again, it just depends on what the Lakers do. If the Lakers end up sitting on their hands and doing nothing, it's a bit of a problem, right? We have some issues here. That's not looking good for the Lakers. Or if they just get a De'Andre Ayton, now you could look and argue, well, you're basically swapping, if the Lakers do land Ayton, right? You're basically swapping Ayton for Dorian Finney Smith, which, yes, to an extent, you're correct. And to be fair, the Lakers need a guy like Ayton much more than they need a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith. Because at least worst case, you have Rui Hachimura, you have Jared Vanderbilt, right? You have Dalton Connect. Like, you have guys that aren't going to give you the Swiss Army knife version that Dorian Finney-Smith gives you, right? Again, the thing about Dorian Finney-Smith is his ability to defend all the positions, be able to rebound, be hustle, be work, right? Diving for loose balls, getting those rebounds, give you some athleticism out on the perimeter, right? Like, all of those things we just don't have anywhere else. Like, Jared Vanderbilt doesn't give you any form of offense. Rui Hachimura, yes, he's had his moments defensively, but he doesn't really give you any defense. I've talked about if you could kind of do the fusion dance with Rui and Jared Vanderbilt, or, give them the Bataro earrings and they could just melt into one person, then Lakers would have probably the best 3-and-D guy in the league. But you don't have that capability, right? That's in, the anime world. It's not in the real world. And so Dorian Finney-Smith was the closest thing that the Lakers had to those two kind of melted and meshed together that we saw. And we saw his impact during the regular season, during the playoffs, right? His ability to, just work around the edges with the Lakers. And then not just that, but then to have Luka Doncic. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little surprised he left. I didn't think he would actually leave, given the Dorian Finney-Smith thing. Now, this is worth something to talk about because it was reported by Anthony Irwin, right? That Rob Pelinka essentially was telling teams that, like, hey, his ankle, there's concerns about his ankle, basically throwing him under the bus. And then that basically is what made Dorian Finney-Smith go, okay, I see you, I'm out type thing. I don't really buy it. I don't, right? Because, like, one, if that's true and that gets out, I mean, you have to fire Rob Pelinka immediately, because no player is going to want to come and trust Rob Pelinka, right? Like, dude, you're going to do, like, and some people might look at it as like, oh, that's just like a crafty move trying to get him cheap. Like, no, it's a scummy move, right? Like, that's ridiculous. Even if that is true, right? Like, you don't do that. I don't buy it. And the reason I don't buy it is Rob Pelinka was an agent, right? Like, he knows, like, that agents talk and people talk, like, he knows how it works, right? Not just from an executive standpoint, being an executive for the Lakers, but he also knows from an agent standpoint. And that if, any of these executives end up telling Dorian Finney-Smith's agent and that gets out, it becomes a big thing. I don't buy it. I really don't. Like, I know people have their opinions on, Anthony Irwin. I don't that's the problem. It's like, who said, like, where did he get this information from? Right? Is this, the janitor that told you, or is this like, Dorian Finney-Smith's agent, right? Did they tell you? And no one else has reported it, which I think is weird, right? Because you would think if that was something that was going around, if that was something that was really generating buzz, right? Like, if Rob Pelinka really did that, like, let's say Rob Pelinka really did tell, other executives, like, hey, you don't want to get Dorian Finney-Smith his ankle shot coming off of ankle surgery and whatnot. Like, you would think that if Anthony Irwin got that information, others would have gotten that information. And there is zero shot that these other, talking heads and whatnot, right? There's zero shot that those people are not going to make that a big thing, because one, it's the Lakers, two, it's Rob Pelinka, three, it's drama, so that's going to get clicks and all this other stuff. I don't buy it. I would be incredibly shocked if that turned out to be true. Incredibly shocked. Because again, not just that, you're ruining any potential chance of other teams and agents wanting to work with you, right? Like, if that's true and he really did that, fire Rob Pelinka immediately. Like, if I'm Jeannie Buss or Mark Walter, and if that's really true and Rob Pelinka did that, he's gone. I'm sorry, you got to go, right? And look, I've been a big Rob defender. I've defended Rob on numerous occasions. I've talked about the things that he's done wrong, but I've also said, like, hey, let's give this guy a chance. If that's something that he's really genuinely doing, which again, I want to be very clear, I do not buy that for a second. I don't. That would be idiocracy. Like, it would be foolishness, right? I just don't buy that's something that happened, but I'm sure people are going to bring that up, right? And especially now that Dorian Finney Smith just actually signed with Houston. Did you ever think it's possible that Dorian Finney Smith just wanted to go to Houston, wanted to get a more long-term deal, right? Sometimes the simple answer is the correct answer, right? Dorian Finney Smith wanted 4 years. The Lakers didn't want to give him 4 years because he's going to be 36, 37 years old at that point. They're trying to build around Luka Doncic. They're trying to get younger out on the wing and out on the perimeter. Why would we go and pay Dorian Finney Smith all this money? So Doe goes, okay, well, Houston's offering me long-term money. I'm just going to go there. That's what I think happened. Like, I don't think it's some like crazy, because again, I just feel like it'd be much more reported. Like, that would be a big story. That'd be a big deal. Right? The Lakers GM and president was telling other teams that about their player in a negative light to draw down the price. Like, you're sabotaging a player on your team. Like, you don't think that warrants like major news? Of course it does. So I don't really buy that, but we'll see. Time will tell. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.